Other scientists were looking at microwave radiation, and they found that there were brain tumors associated with cell phone use, and there was something called microwave illness or microwave sickness for people who happen to live near radar towers, radar installations. And so that became the other part of this puzzle. Other people were looking at ground current, particularly on farms. It was affecting farm animals, particularly dairy cows where milk production decreased. They had foot sores, they miscarried, and some of the animals died prematurely. And once again, we were given a piece of the puzzle. It wasn't only the animals on the farms that were ill, but the farm families were ill and had the same symptoms as the cows. And then finally, we started looking at sick building syndrome and found that some of the sick building syndrome isn't due to mold, isn't due to chemicals, it's actually due to power quality or dirty electricity. And so I think these are the four most important parts of the illness puzzle of the 21st century. Ever since electricity was invented and we started using electric lights, every 10 to 20 years, new devices came on the market, from the wireless radio to radar during World War II, to television and computers. And one of the things you can see here is that although the advances took decades initially, right now we have a lot of different products coming online that are using wireless technology. And I'll talk about them very briefly in a few minutes. Every single time we had a new invention, we had health effects associated with it. And I'd just like to focus on one of these. Collectively, the radiation that I'm going to be talking about in the electromagnetic fields, I refer to as electrosmog. It's just an easy terminology. There's nothing technical or scientific about it. With respect to the invention of X-rays, we now know that X-rays are not good for your health. We limit the number of X-rays people have. The intensity of the X-ray is much lower than it used to be in the past, and technicians usually walk out of the room where the X-ray machine is being operated because of their health. However, when X-rays were first invented, they were used in shoe stores. Now, how many people remember X-rays being used in shoe stores? Okay. And they were used to help fit children's shoes. It was very difficult to tell how, where the toes ended and where the shoe started. Children's feet grow very rapidly, so very often you wanted the shoe to last at least a year. And so what you would do is you would have something called a fluoroscope, which is basically an X-ray machine, and the child would put his foot under it, wiggle his toes, and you could see where the toes were, you could see where the outline of the shoe was, and you could determine whether or not the shoe fit. And we used that technology until we recognized that X-rays were harmful. This, in my opinion, was a frivolous use of a technology. And thank God we learned very quickly. However, we have frivolous uses of the wireless technology we have, and the question is, what are the consequences going to be? What are the long-term benefits or the effects of this technology? Here is some of that new wireless technology. We have cordless phones, we have cell phones. There's a very special type of cordless phone that I'm going to be talking about later on. We're increasingly going to wireless routers rather than wired routers to get on the internet. And there's a new phone that's coming out that you wear as a wristwatch, and it's called a touchscreen cell phone watch. And what that's going to do is it's going to irradiate your wrist and the rest of your body with microwave radiation, because that's what it uses. And the most recent thing are smart meters. In Ontario, by 2010, every building is going to have a smart meter. These smart meters are designed to allow the utility to determine how much electricity you're using almost a minute-by-minute basis. A lot of them are going to use wireless technology, which means that they will send that signal to the nearest antenna, which could be 2 kilometers away, and that's going to be sent to your utility, and they will know exactly how much energy you're using when. The advantage to you is that if you use your electricity at nighttime, the fees will go down, so it won't cost you nearly as much. The disadvantage is that it's probably ultimately going to affect your health. In communities in the United States, people have contacted me who are electrically sensitive, and they told me that they now have wireless smart meters on their home, and they can't use the room where the wireless meter is on the outside wall. They can't use that room anymore. And it's not just their home, but it's homes around them that are sending these messages. If you happen to be living in an apartment building, then your exposure is going to be that much worse. So the denser the community of the buildings, the worse the radiation is going to be. This talk could have very well been titled Beyond Noah's Ark, because I think the flood analogy makes a lot of sense and it helps people understand what we're exposed to. If the level of water is low, at our knees or lower, it's unlikely that it's going to kill us. If it's higher, and if some of us can't swim, then we're going to end up having problems. And this is the present situation. There are some people who are exposed to current levels of electromagnetic radiation who are unable to survive. They become very, very ill. Many of them have moved away from civilization. Many of them have come to British Columbia and live on the islands where they are trying to get away, living a very, very healthy lifestyle until the radiation follows them with the cell phone antennas. And this is what's coming soon. The levels are going to go up unless we do something about it, and more people are going to become ill. Now, last time I spoke, I used this slide because I think it helps us understand